Have you ever felt a sense that God was leading you towards something, but you were not sure you had what it takes? Not enough time, not enough resources, not enough clarity. And quietly the question forms, Lord, how would this even work? The book of Ezra gives us a beautiful answer. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Ezra Blueprint series. I'm Coach Sandra, the life coach for ladies, and your truth mindset strategist. In this series, we are exploring a biblical pattern for restoring lives, renewing minds, and guiding others back to truth. In our last episode, we talked about how God often begins rebuilding in seasons that feel uncertain. Today, we're going to explore another powerful truth from Ezra, how God provides for the assignments he gives. When people were called to return to Jerusalem, they were not in a strong position. They had been living in exile. They were not wealthy or powerful. They were stepping into uncertainty. Yet something remarkable happened. In Ezra 1:4 through 6, it describes how people around them began giving silver, gold, goods, resources for the journey. Provision came even from unexpected places. God often sends provision from places you would never think to look. Provision in Scripture is rarely random. It is purposeful. It aligns with what God is doing, and it often appears as the person steps forward in obedience. This is important because many people wait for the provision before they move. But in Ezra, we see something different. The calling comes and the provision follows. Provision often meets us on the path of obedience, not before it. There's another layer in Ezra that is easy to miss. The blessings of God were not only seen in what people received, but in how God provided. God stirred the hearts of those around them to give. Neighbors brought resources. Support came through community. God often uses people as part of his provision. In Ezra 1:7 through 11, we see something deeply meaningful. The temple vessels that had been taken during exile were returned. What had once been lost was restored. God is able to restore what once seemed permanently lost. Later in Ezra, a phrase appears again and again. The good hand of his God was upon him. This speaks of something deeper than material provision. It speaks of guidance, protection, favor. Provision is not only what God gives, it is also how God guides us. These blessings reveal something beautiful about God's character. He does not simply send people forward and leave them to figure everything out. He provides through people, he restores what was lost, and he guides the journey with his hand. Where God gives an assignment, he always hides provision nearby. When we think about provision, we often think of external things, money, resources, opportunities, but Ezra reveals something deeper. God had already been preparing his people long before they returned. He had preserved their identity. He had given them knowledge of his word, and he had shaped their hearts through their experiences. Sometimes the greatest provision is the person God has already been shaping you to become. This is another place where Christian life coaching becomes meaningful. Many people sense a calling to help others, but hesitate. They think, I'm not ready. I don't have enough. I don't know enough yet. But often they already carry more than they realize. They have life experience, spiritual growth, compassion, a desire to guide others toward truth. During those seasons, something important happens. People begin looking for someone who will walk beside them, not someone who will simply give answers, but someone who will guide them, help them think clearly, see God's wisdom, and move forward with truth. This is where Christian life coaching enters the picture. A coach helps someone recognize, what has God already placed in your life? What has God been preparing within you? What truth can guide your next step? Christian coaching does not rebuild people's lives for them. It helps them rebuild their lives with truth. Ezra himself was not unprepared. He had spent years studying the Word. God had been shaping him before he stepped into leadership. That preparation became part of the provision. God does not just provide for the assignment, he prepares the person for the assignment. Some women watching today may feel a quiet stirring to help others, but hesitation quickly follows. Am I ready? Do I have what it takes? Could God really use me? Ezra reminds us of something gentle and reassuring. God does not begin with perfection. He begins with preparation. If God is stirring your heart, he has already begun providing in ways you may not fully see yet. If you are sensing a calling, whether to grow, rebuild, or guide others, take heart. God does not call you forward without provision. Sometimes it arrives through people, sometimes through opportunity, sometimes through clarity that unfolds step by step, but it does come. When God calls you forward, he does not expect you to supply everything. He invites you to trust what he has already prepared and what he will provide. I would love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a time when God provided something you needed at just the right moment? You are welcome to share in the comments. In our next episode of the Ezra Blueprint, we will explore one of the most powerful spiritual principles in the entire book, why worship must come first. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, may you continue seeking truth, walking faithfully, and trusting God's provision.